Exactly.
Guys, it's wonderful to have you back together again here at Comic-Con. It's also always wonderful to have you back together again on our screens. Can you talk a little bit about this latest season and, again, after so many years, what it feels like to still have the privilege of getting to do this?
It is a privilege.
That's it. I think that is the word. Hold on, here's Hattie.
Well, some of us have to put our lipstick on.
Danny, is that what you were like?
I seem to have no trouble.
That fake beard.
Yes, but there's a big queue in the ladies, you see. In the men's, the mirrors are always free.
Can you remember the question?
Yes.
Oh, God.
It's about privilege and
Privilege.
us being together again and that privilege.
And it is a privilege,
It is.
actually, because Doug's scripts are as strong as ever.
Yeah.
And it's taking us into some very interesting areas, and some of the guest performances on this show. To me, 12 is the show of great guest performances, and it's it beggars belief, actually, some of the talent out there. And in many ways, because we've been doing the show for so long with the same chemistry and everything, when someone comes in and does this fantastic, cameo plus, it's a joy to see, as Ryan Gage, for example, in episode 1.
Oh, yeah.
And the great Johnny Vegas, and watching his performance unfold in the episode the other week was great.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's 30 years now, and it's fabulous to be back. And I will let someone else get a word in.
No.
I agree with everything you say.
Everything, yeah. But you can see it. When you do a new show, you have to sort of get to know everybody, and it takes a couple of seasons and da da da. Well, now when we get to, you just get in. Everybody knows what they have to do, and it's just about how funny we're going to be off camera.
Yeah.
That's what basically.
Well, it's what keeps us going.
It's what keeps you going.
It's that energy that is what is vital to. As the years have passed.
I used to sit around with the guest stars because I didn't watch you guys. Sit around with Marilyn.
Yeah, that was funny. Yeah.
And Elvis.
And Elvis.
Thank you very
Oh
much.
my good, you've been a wonderful audience.
What do you think, having been on for 30 years now, what do you think the lasting appeal is of Red Dwarf? Why is it still such a big thing?
Because it's funny.
I think it is. I mean, it is.
No.
I think Doug explained it recently because we've often said, for us, it is the writing. So when we read those scripts the first time, it's the kind of nearest we get to the audience seeing it for the first time. So it's kind of very, and they're amazing scripts, even though they will change so radically after we first read them. He'll rewrite them all. And Doug has said, I think very generously, but it's the chemistry. So he couldn't write it. He can hear our voices when he's writing it. So he's therefore writing it very much with us in mind. And it's that chemistry that I don't know how you could create that. You could, you'd set a project with some big American media corporation. We're going to create this great, and it just takes years. The kind, in a sense, it's that. And I think it's never been fashionable. That's always my feeling about it. Red Dwarf's never been fashionable, but it's also never been unfashionable. So it's never, it's not locked into any era. So it's not like watching a
focus group.
but it's not like watching an 80s sitcom, because it wasn't an 80s sitcom in the 80s. It didn't fit in with the 80s or the 90s or the it's
And something set in space like this does age less than or age better than when you look at sort of the early series. It's not like looking at, say, something like an Earthbound sitcom back in the day, which
The British Empire, for example.
Yeah. I think while we're on that,
While we're on that, young man,
Yes.
well done, well brought up. Yes.
Well, I am from Wingwood, so...
Are you?
We've seen you filming.
sounds like Reggie Perry. No, look, there's talk about some more of that, and it would be nice to see. It'd be interesting to see that in the 21st century with a different era than those. But you're right. Yeah, that Earthbound sitcom dates that, whereas Red Dwarf, set in space, the actors have aged a little bit,
tiny bit, just tiny bit.
but it's its own separate world.
They never thought we were actors either. That was the good thing.
Well, we weren't really.
No,
Maybe
they
still
used to
not.
say
Still
if
not.
only
No,
we'd
I
have
managed
watched
to-
actors.
Yeah.
Because we were all like from the comedy circuit and stuff.
Yeah,
and
I was
dance.
I was doing musical theatre, and there wasn't you know, any real lovies, as you know,
Yeah,
to say.
yeah.
Smash acts.
And I think what that gave was you had people that were used to walking into a nightclub or a bar and doing their act with complete strangers, or you know, you'd have to get to know all the people in there
Yeah.
immediately.
Yeah, yeah.
There's no time to go in there and go, oh, what's this about? You know, because you're on stage. And so when we got into the room originally, it was just that immediate chemistry. Everyone will know this.
But you know, Danny is. I was having.
He answers.
I'm in a press,
Only Danny.
I'm in a press conference, darling.
You know, I was having breakfast.
Yes, we're in the press conference.
And Danny was there in the hotel. And Danny says, I'm just going up to
we'll
the
be
room
at lunch
to get
afterwards.
my key.
Yeah.
And off he went, leaving his phone on the table with all these people having breakfast like that.
We're in the,
Suddenly that bloody thing went off in the middle of breakfast.
Everyone looks at you.
Everyone looks at me and I was going, so sorry.
to the South Gallery, room 6.
Didn't it go off during filming
Yeah.
as well, you were saying?
It did go off.
Yeah, just
well,
get-
Danny was on the
just get
phone
them to
when we
send
were
you.
shooting in front of the audience. We could hear him. He had his mic on. Going, yeah, I'll be over there later on tonight, guy. Yeah.
Yeah, so I didn't get that gig. Now I'm pissed off. Right, what do you want?
That was Tom Cruise.
That was Tom Cruise ringing. Get out of my closet. No. Joke.
Now you've had it's the most expensive episode of Red Dwarf you ever done, where everyone gets to be dressed up as mechs. How much more sympathy do you now have for Crichton, and how funny was it watching everyone else have to go through wearing a full suit?
I think he had the best fun because, you know, he's sitting there like Lord such, you know. He's just looking at us suffering, going, you see? No. But he was very supportive because obviously we felt his pain many years ago, you know, like there have been occasions, and Robert will tell you, where me and Craig were coming in to the hotel from a night out and Bobby's leaving to get his makeup done. So, I mean, in those days, how many hours did it take, Bob?
Five, just over 5 hours.
So there were occasions where we would cross each other in the hotel foyer, and sort of we're coming in like this, and Robert's going out there.
In Manchester.
Yes, in Manchester.
Mad for
I was in bed.
Manchester.
Yes, sensible.
Chris had been in bed since 8 o'clock the evening before.
Half a pint of best bitter, followed by a mug of Horlicks.
Mug of Horlicks, and just a touch of Vinos to put it down, you know. You never know.
Vinos.
Vinos.
I have both.
But yeah, there was a moment as I got out the lift and Craig and Dan were getting in and Craig's going, come up to my room, Bobby, have a drink. Like, this is like 5 in the morning. I go, I've got to go to work. There's a
We've
taxi
been to the Hacienda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, Robert deserves
Yeah.
a massive fee over and above his regular fee.
Because we just used to go, I ain't never going to do that. You know,
I mean,
I mean,
35
we-
times a series or something? You
Yeah,
get
I
that?
don't even know.
It's
It's
that
just
song.
a lot of masks. Yeah.
And the first day, I was ill at the end of the day.
He was
So
I,
retired
mate,
first.
I had the bends when I was when I was doing the cast. You know, that is freaky.
Yeah, the cast is
that's
the
really
worst
weird
bit.
because
Very tiring.
you know, no one just breathes through their nose. You don't practice that. So all of a sudden, hey man, you can only breathe through your nose. How'd you do that?
Yeah.
You learn
And then, of
quite
course, you're already covered in, and then as it's drying, it's doing this on your head.
It gets hotter
And
as
then you
well.
get more and more claustrophobic as it goes along.
You feel the lifting, the glue failing, and the thing
Yeah.
lifting, and then
Apparently, when
rivulets falling down, you can't scratch. an
Apparently,
edge.
when one of these guys did Johnny Depp, and he freaked out and got up and started running around with his
Yeah.
head on, going, then, you know, they got to calm you down. That would have been
fun
mad.
to see it.
That would have been quite funny.
Tranquilizer dart.
But no, they so I was just going to say that they were it was a lot tougher for them than it was for me. You know, I've done it for years. I've done it for years, and also I got used to it before I did any kind of serious filming. So to jump straight in, put a mask on for the first time, and then do quite complicated scenes, really difficult. That is very tough. So I wouldn't wish it on anyone ever. You know, maybe Trump. Trump and Farage. I'd wish it on them forever. But that's about it.
Yeah, what they should do is make heads, and then give them each other's head. You know, that would be really funny.
Sorry, there was.
How was it? Would you like to do any crossovers, like maybe with Death in Paradise or something like that? Just like any other.
What,
franchise?
Red Dwarf in Death in Paradise? Well, we kind of did.
Death in Space.
Yeah, but we did kind of do that with Craig and Coronation Street, which was quite
Yeah.
bizarre. That was very odd.
Yeah,
That's
it'd
quite
be
a strange
funny
thing.
to just find that someone had killed Hattie,
Oh!
and the four suspects were these guys.
Oh.
It weren't me.
I wouldn't like to wear a Crichton mask in Guadeloupe.
No, Guadeloupe
That would be a bit hot,
and
wouldn't it?
prosthetics would.
Well,
do,
no,
I'm
but the
sure,
thing
but
is,
not
what
me.
they should do, they should land in Saint Marie. You don't have to say Death in Paradise.
Yeah.
If they just landed in Saint Marie, this is a
Oh yeah,
boat,
we'll
sir.
come then, in that case.
No, Hattie, that's the plan.
But that's
You get
always-
a free holiday. You say yes.
Yeah.
The amount of times we've been hearing about the next series, they don't do it anymore, but they used to always say, so we're going to do the opening stuff, we're filming all that in Morocco. And we go, oh,
Yeah,
wow,
oh,
Morocco.
great.
And it
Ends up in Clapham.
It was always either Clapham, a sewage works in Clapham, or a quarry.
Real beach.
Or quarry in Real
Beach.
Real beach.
Or a quarry
paradise.
off the
Or
M25.
that water pumping station.
Yeah.
The water pumping station
Famous
was a classic.
water pump.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time down the sewers.
Can't deal with it.
Everyone uses that place now. though.
Yeah.
Do you remember?
What's it called?
Sunbury.
Sunbury.
Sunbury,
I don't have
yeah.
sun in it.
Remember John Pomp lit that?
Yeah.
I mean,
Beautifully.
think about it. He used to like Question of Sport, and then he lit that place up, and it was like a big movie.
Yeah.
It was extraordinary.
Top man.
Actually, going back to the heads thing, how was it for you with all of your character just being a head? So how was the acting experience with that?
Well, it was my first acting experience anyway, so I was glad of it. I was glad I didn't have to walk and talk anywhere at the same time.
Yeah.
It was just black
good
polo
gig.
neck jumper. Yeah.
It's a good gig.
Against the black background, and then a bit like this, sitting here like this, really.
Well, most actors can't walk and talk anyway.
And I haven't got.
It's like
I don't
opera, isn't it?
talk like this.
They'd never have them walking. It's hard. They can't seem to put. So if you notice on operas, they're either sitting on a big rock, and then he's leaning on the proscenium arch, and then it's sort of Pavarotti, playing a young Romeo, 40 stone, and he's singing Romeo, for goodness sake. That's supposed to look like Beckham.
So when do you start your promotional job for the
We should do that. Red Dwarf the opera.
Get a
A
question in quick.
musical note here. I wondered if there any chance of any more big song and dance numbers in future Red Dwarf episodes?
Who are you looking at?
Preferably? Right now.
Right now,
Who
yeah.
are you looking at when you say that?
Mostly at you because
I was going to
you were
wonder because
singing
you couldn't be talking about these three. Did you hear? She can't walk and talk.
I think there's not a lot. There's not a lot of
I can
enthusiasm.
dance.
There's not a lot of enthusiasm from Craig to do. I think
Yeah,
we
no.
found quite-
The last time
You can see
we did,
Craig and I counting.
you can you can see
Yeah.
them
Counting
plotting
steps.
my murder. Actually, it's like you can see we're going to kill him tonight. But no. Well, I've done 3 already in the show.
Yeah.
That's not enough.
You did one per episode for Maid Marian.
No, I tell you what, I've already got the backing track for my next song. You don't believe me, do you?
I believe you.
Yes.
I've met you before, I believe you.
Hold on a second.
So whilst we're waiting, in the past 30 years, you guys have had some
He's got
absolutely
the idea.
stonking
Well
lines.
awaited.
No, you go.
Guys, what have your favourite lines been, respectively, over the years? Hattie?
Oh, don't start with me.
You respected what?
Your respected lines. Like,
there
what have
are
your
not-
favourite
Oh,
lines
do you know
been?
what?
You can take your pick of
Maybe.
mine.
I've come to meet. I've
This
come
is
to
my
know
favourite.
you all.
Oh, I
As
love
people that I've met.
I've come to regard you all.
Over the years.
Over the years, so I can't remember mine. No, in fact, forget that one. We've blown that one.
Line.
It's my duty as a complete and utter bastard. There are quite a few, though. That's the great thing about Red Dwarf. That's why we keep going back to it, because there's so much funny banter.
I'm fine, thank you, Susan.
Oh,
You lying! I quite like that one.
what about that trout one? I like
Oh God, yeah, but that was the. Yeah, I can only remember the word trout. I compared your mother to a bloated old piscine. That's about all I can remember. That was a killer. That speech.
That must have been Rimmer's mother.
Yes, that's right. Because it was who's that old trout? That was it. And then
Was
you
that
go, "That's my
Injustice?"
mother." God, it was in series 3. I can't remember what episode.
It's with the rimmer upside down in the tree, little kid rimmer. And
Yeah.
was it the thingy tension sheet? Was it that one?
No, that was
What's
later.
the one you
wasn't
did that speech? You're a boo-boo.
Yes.
Pass some oil on the side of pasta or something.
See, it's a more complicated question than you thought, wasn't it?
it? Yeah, that's the danger of asking us what our favourite lines is.
Yeah,
We'll half remember them. What we basically need is a fan to correct us.
No, but during that we get all the ad lib as well, which just makes it diamond.
I would just like to say there's a big wibbly wobbly thing and it's coming straight towards us. Was almost used on Thursday's episode.
It was.
Yeah. Oh!
We've had quite a few wibbly wobblies over the years and some swirly whirlies. So, you know, so we like to keep the science
Return
accurate.
to the favourites.
In about an hour, Dan will play us this music.
No, you keep going. I'm just trying to work out what I've got these headphones.
What was Norman's favourite line? That was was April, May, June, July, August, December, whatever comes after that.
What was it? April, May, June, July, and August full. Something like that.
Something like that. Lister, what line?
So
Let's get out there and swat it.
Yeah.
I'm going to eat you little fishy.
Oh,
Thrash
yeah.
metal version coming.
Today's fish is trout a la creme.
Tony Hawk.
Oh, it's Tony Hawk's.
I'm liking the heavy metal band.
Power metal solo.
The next MCM, we want the full dance routine that goes with it.
That's diverse.
So there's certainly a bassist there.
Oh, don't worry. Crichton on the drums. Oh, mate, don't you worry. You can see it, can't you?
And I can see it all now, Danny. I'm completely correct.
Well, maybe that should be the 30th anniversary special thing.
Do we have to move on?
Yeah,
we have
on
to
that
re-
bombshell, I think they want you to go and rehearse. So, Dan, you go and get the steps done.
Thank you very
much.
Oh, don't worry, man. I told you, she thought I was joking.
Oh, sorry.
Don't you worry, baby.
Well,
Nice to see you all.
thank you very much for
Thank you
listening.
very much.